Welcome to Chanel the latest. The government has relaxed import laws and scrapped taxes for drone parts and equipment. The expansion is being funded by a successful fundraising campaign called the Army of Drones. More than $108 million, £87 million, has been raised with the help of celebrity supporters like Star Wars Mark Hamill. As well as buying and building drones for the war, the money is being spent on training new pilots for the front line. The BBC was invited to a training session for Ukraine's latest group of drone pilots in a secret location on the outskirts of Kyiv. A dozen teams of pilot pairs flew small drones across a field, searching for markers resembling military targets. Instructor Slava watched their technique and commented on how to better remain hidden in their makeshift dens in the woods. Drones are our eyes, we can see the occupier very well from the top, so we can adjust artillery and find and neutralize the enemy, he says. Soldiers on both sides of the conflict are also increasingly reliant on smaller and relatively cheap drones that are traditionally used for filming. The most common drone seen on the front line is the DJI Mavic, which costs less than $2,000, £1,615. Last year, its Chinese manufacturer banned exports to Ukraine and Russia, insisting its products are for civilian use only. Slava says the ban has made it harder to get hold of the drones, but Ukraine has still been able to import thousands. But he admits they need more and also need to develop new types, as they are so often shot down or jammed by electronic weapons. Organizers of the Army of Drones campaign say they have built or purchased an extra 3,300 drones. Some 400 people have even sent their own hobby drones in the mail. The fundraising began in July last year to help bolster the country's fleet and train pilots. The project is prominent on social media, with the actor Mark Hamill presenting promotional videos and sharing messages to his fans. Other nationwide drone projects are being advertised in many shops and service stations across Ukraine as the government insists drones give its military a competitive advantage on the battlefield. On Monday, 100 Ukrainian-made kamikaze drones designed to be crashed into enemy targets were sent to Bakhmut in the latest shipment. In March, Ukraine's Ministry for Digital Transformation announced what it called an important step for the development of the Ukrainian UAV unmanned aerial vehicle market, relaxing and simplifying the procedure for importing components for drones into Ukraine. Previously, the rules meant that receiving parts like GPS modules or thermal cameras could take 15 days. Ukraine also changed its tax code rules so importers of drones do not pay import duty and VAT for drones and their components. Drones today are a fundamental technology in terms of the significance, said Minister for Digital Transformation Mikhailo Fedorov when announcing the changes. Mr. Fedorov has been leading the Army of Drones fundraising campaign. In his government office in Kyiv, he proudly displays a prototype of a new secret kamikaze drone being built in Ukraine. Mr. Fedorov makes no attempt to hide the deadly nature of these drones designed to smash into targets like soldiers or tanks. But like the rest of his government, he refuses to talk about recent drone strikes on Russian territory. Last month, a drone came down in the town of Kureysk, about 400 kilometers (249 miles) from the Ukraine border, injuring at least 3 people in an explosion after it was brought down, Russian state media said. Russian media reported that a Ukrainian-made drone crashed in the Moscow region, with officials accusing Ukraine of targeting an energy facility. Russia has deployed hundreds of drones against Ukraine, particularly with large Iranian-made Shahed kamikaze drones, but Ukraine has never admitted to going on the offensive inside Russian territory. Asked if he would condone drone attacks on Russia, Mr. Fedorov said, "I support everything that will bring us victory and stop Russia." On his official Telegram account, Mr. Fedorov has also boasted of a Ukrainian drone called the R-18 that can fly from Kyiv to Moscow and back. The minister denied that he was calling for drone strikes on Moscow, saying, "We have defense forces who plan operations, and our task is to do everything we can so that the country has enough UAVs for them to be used for all military purposes." The Ukraine Ministry of Defense did not respond to our requests for comment about drone strikes on Russian soil. The remote-controlled aircraft are used to smuggle drugs and phones into jails. Scottish Prison Service (SPS) figures show the number of drones detected has jumped from 2 in 2019 to 9 in the first 3 months alone of this year. The SPS said it was using all technological and intelligence tools available to tackle the problem. The availability of cheap and easy-to-fly drones has caused an increased security headache for prisons across Scotland. Figures obtained by Justice Magazine 1919 show Hemp Edinburgh has had the most recorded incidents of drones being detected, totaling 11 since 2021. Hemp Perth ranks the second highest, with 5 incidents since 2018. All detections were made by prison staff during perimeter checks or on CCTV. SPS officials have previously said the introduction of a policy to photocopy prisoners' mail, which stopped inmates receiving psychoactive substances which had been sprayed onto the pieces of paper, had led to an increase in attempts to smuggle drugs over perimeter walls. Scottish Conservative Justice spokesman Jamie Green said, "It is clear criminals are now using drones to try and smuggle dangerous drugs and contraband into the prison estate. SNP ministers cannot make the same mistakes they did when they dithered and delayed over our demands to stop the postal peddling of drugs. They must take action to stop drones simply taking over the task." A Scottish government spokesperson said, "We continue to support the Scottish Prison Service and Police Scotland's joint efforts to prevent the supply of illegal drugs. SPS continues to work tirelessly to adapt its security measures to prevent, detect and deter the introduction of contraband in prisons." An SPS spokesperson said, "While we cannot discuss covert tactics, SPS uses all technological and intelligence tools available to tackle the harm caused by illicit substances entering our establishments. We work with Police Scotland and other partners to take action against those who attempt to breach our security, via drones or by other means. These efforts have led to a significant reduction in drug take incidents in our establishments, and as a result, the harm caused to the health and well-being of those in our care." The incident at Morley Quarry in Merthyr Tydfil on the 19th of July 2022 saw 50 actors and horses halted while he received medical attention. The Air Accident Investigation Branch (AAIB) said an actor deviated from the briefed path and ran into one of the drone's propellers. The actor had superficial injuries. Before the day's filming began, the experienced pilot gathered the crew, production staff and actors together to conduct a safety briefing, according to the report. After 2 shoots were completed successfully, there was a further sequence involving a tracking shot of actors and horses running past the drone which was to hover at low head height.